The light fixture's unique too.
Gorgeous.
And they will ask about the electricity. There's no electricity. The only thing we didn't talk about in the bedroom is the fact that
It looks
everything
like
has a
it's
kerosene lamp once
1934.
it got dark.
This is this house, right?
Correct.
When did they get electricity in this house?
I don't know, but I would imagine by the 30s or 40s, they would have had electricity.
Might have been. One of the things that is not happening on the property now that did during that period of time and at one phase of several years ago, Miss Ernestine and her sister, when Miss Ernestine, her sister lived in this home the whole time. She did not work, go to teach or anything. But they had a small nursery here, and the acequia in the back, they covered it with, like you would take that whole window with the glass in it and lay it across it, and it was their little hothouse and where they raised plants and sold them here.
Oh.
So she had a lot of plants at that time, which we hope comes back.
Yes.
That'd be wonderful.
So the final room here is, and we're in the back part, the rooms that we're at is what we call the school room.
So the lights
Gun
are
powder.
cut out there, one group starts there.
Yeah, the old days.
Oh, look at
Their
that.
eyes are closed, that's.
Sam.
We did a staff retreat out here a couple weeks ago, and we had a scavenger hunt. And one of the things I put in there was the portrait of St. Eustace, if anyone could find it.
Yes.
Oh, there he is.
Oh, we're coming.
So, by the way, there's a wonderful cheat sheet here too for the family history, because you have this genealogy on the wall. And this is very important because the Yturri, Manuel Yturri, was descended, Manuel Yturri Castillo was descended from the Canary Islanders. Now you recall the first civilian settlers of the San Antonio area after the Franciscan missionaries, the Spanish soldiers, and of course the native Apalachian and Coahuiltecan Indians were the Canary Islanders who arrived, as this says, on March 9th, 1731 at 11 a.m. They were half an hour late. It does say 11 a.m., March 9th, 1731, and it lists all of the original Canary Island families here. And Manuel Yturri Castillo is descended from one of those families. So here's, so if you need to remember the genealogy, here's Manuel Yturri Castillo, his wife Maria Josefa, Isabel Rodriguez. He dies before the house is built. Judge Thomas Whitehead is the one who was married to Maria Josefa at the time of the construction of the house. And then here's her daughter, Maria Josefa Vicenta, Carmen Vicenta, that's Miss Ernestine's mother, and her husband, Ernest Edmunds. And again, she had met him in New Orleans. Is that correct, Sydney? Did she meet Ernest Edmunds in New Orleans?
I'm sorry.
Did Vicenta meet Ernest Edmunds when she was in New Orleans?
They met.
Yeah.
And she told him, "You need to go back to my home to be married." And once he got here and found out her family was wealthy.
Did Miss
So-
Ernestine do that chart?
I don't know who did the chart. It says research by Olysse Jones, 1973.
I got a question.
Yeah.
Sydney had said that there was a little index card in each room that had some hints as to what to.
She told me about that. I've never seen them. So.
Well, I'm looking at a card down there. I don't know if that's it or not. Nope.
No, it's a letter to Miss Edmonds from a former student in 1960 from Indianapolis.
No, they just leave it.
So this room has a lot of artifacts that were hers. You see her National Retired Teachers Association, individual membership in Delta Kappa Gamma. I always like to point out Our Lady of the Lake, just to point out her dedication to education. She started teaching at the age of 16. She went and got her Bachelor's of Arts. She's in her 40s by the time she gets her Bachelor of Arts.
Wow.
But she was really dedicated to continuing to improve herself.
Wow.
And then there is a writing desk with inkwells. That's sometimes very interesting to kids to understand how people wrote in the.
And the bells.
The family was considered affluent. you just mentioned that when he found out that she was wealthy, were they considered wealthy at that time?
Yes,
They had
because the
land.
family had a home in downtown, and I'm not sure, I didn't get to read all of that. Miss Ernestine's father died, not Ernestine, Vincenta's father died. Her mother married a judge, so at that time, I don't know what judges got paid, but I mean, you know,
But
he
they were
he was an
affluent.
important person. He was the one that he had to bequeath this property to her when she got married, because that was in the will. I understand from some paperwork we had somewhere that her grandfather, Vincenta's grandfather, wanted to be in charge of her legacy, and that since it wasn't written that way, her mother didn't write it that way, that the judge did exactly what she. And I assume that Vincenta's brother, there's stories about him. He went to the Confederate War. I have a book about him that somebody has given me that did some research, and that there are letters that he wrote back to his wife, and he had multitudes of kids where Ernestine just had the 3.
Yeah, he's
I mean,
here, Manuel
Vincento
Yturri,
just had
and here are all the
the
kids.
And he was in
Very long list.
Yturri.
He was in the Yturri.
Okay.
It's a very prominent family.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know about now, but there's a family in South Texas that almost spell their name the same, that have a ranch almost as big as the King Ranch.
And there
When
was,
you're coming from
and
the valley, you'll see the gate with that name on it. It's spelled a little different, but we've always wondered if maybe that hadn't been, because a lot of people changed their name. My father's name was Isidro, but when his birth certificate was written, they wrote Sidney. That's my name. And so, you know, a lot of things change a little bit. My husband's last name is Yarbrough, but there's an O dropped out, and most Yarbroughs have an O, an extra O in it. So people did that through maybe ignorance or not knowing exactly how to spell something.
And that's her when she graduated from Our Lady?
Yeah. That picture is interesting too. I don't know if you'll have time to talk about it. But before my time, a lady from Houston came through here as a visitor and said that her mother went to Cambridge Elementary, and that she has a lovely picture of her mother and Miss Ernestine in the class. And she sent that back, framed like it is, with the class, and we're not sure which one of the girls was the lady's mother, but she sent us back that picture, so we have it. So that's nice. And the flags, the kids may ask you about the flags. She collected flags, so there are flags in almost every room. And in your write-up, there's also a story about the flag. We've heard lots of stories, and you don't have to tell this story, but I want to tell it. When Miss Ernestine's mother raised the flag in that school, the principal was a retired Confederate colonel, and he took the flag down. That's an American flag. And the story we were told was that the children's parents and the children were so upset because they loved Miss Vincenta so much that they encouraged him to put the flag back up. Whether it's the same flag or not, I don't know. But the flag that was returned to her, she gave it back to Harlandale. They had it in a commemoratory thing. They did some remodeling, and they took everything out and stored it, and nobody ever found the flag again. So we don't know where the flag
so
went.
sad.
And that was supposed to have been the original flag that she had given them. So
and these books were hers as well? The books are original.
Yeah.
Looks original.
Okay.
Okay.
These bookcases, if you see any pictures of her classroom, these bookcases were in her classroom in Cambridge. They were her personal bookcases. The lady that I knew very well said that she would get her children out under the flag, and they did the pledge. What are we going through now? And that she had them do calisthenics because she was very into health. And so she really, her kids loved her. Some of her children ended up being lawyers, councilmen, went to Washington, you know. One of the things she always wanted was that this mill would be turned into a schoolroom. that children could come and take a class like we have. You can go now different places and have your children take like a 2-hour class. And she lobbied all her old school children, sent them all letters and stuff asking for money to do it. And she never really got enough money to do it. But she tried.
Good idea.
Okay, so when we split the tour in half, do we bring one in this door and the other one in that door?
If you bring them in this door, you can go
Like we
around
did.
here and out this
Uh-huh.
way.
Follow
If
Okay.
you bring them in the bedroom door, you're
Yeah.
still here. You can take them through there, come in here. By the time you're here, we're in the bedroom.
Oh.
And then you can go into the living room,
And out the
I mean,
parlor.
out
So
the
they both
music
start from the
room and
front.
out the parlor.
So they're both from the front porch?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, let's
Where's the photo
go out to
stand?
the mill.
One of them is,
Let's Sam Houston.
yeah.
Oh, is that Sam Hughes? Okay. And that looks like Robert E.
Is that Robert E.
Robert
Lee?
Lee and-
Yeah, that's right.
We're not taking it down, folks.
No, thank goodness. History is history. I know. Quite a personality. This is very scenic.
So you bring both groups in here?
Yeah, everyone, you can split the group, so you can have one group in here while the other group's there. Or one side and then here while the other group's there. If you have to split those, then you can do the same.
She very well. I mean, you bring both groups in here.
It's bigger.
But then you don't bring them in.
No, it doesn't.
Well, the kids
Start
will fall
one
down
here.
here.
Yeah, this, we're gonna put this across so no one goes down.
Yes, because that's the first thing they're gonna do is wanna go trotting down there.
I was just about to do that myself. I'm just
Oh, my
kidding.
God. Well,
I'm
when
just-
when you come in, the light is kind of blinded, you don't see that.
Yeah.
It goes on that
There's a
chain.
Here's her side set.
There we go.
I guess you could do it if you were right-sided.
Whoa.
That's okay.
You'd have to sit the same way on that side.
This seems pretty stable. I think I'll have to see. This is very nice.
Yeah.
It's okay to sit on this?
It's okay to sit in these too, but.
Is it okay? Yes, Here, you can sit here. by
There's
the
some chairs
window.
here too.
Oh, thank you.
So when you came in, hopefully you noticed Miss Ernestine's side saddle sitting out there that we saw in the photo. So that's a nice connection.
Thank you,
Saw it
though.
in the photo, and there's the actual.
Maybe
object
somebody else needs to
as
sit
you come
down.
in. Behind Elaine, where the light fixture is the adobe brick wall. So you have another chance to see an adobe brick wall. The top portion of that is the reconstruction. So when we got the property in 1961, there was the foundation of the mill and the wall up to about here. Everything else, all the wood, is reconstruction, completed in 1972. One of the, and this is not really a detail for the kids, but one of the odd things is both Miss Ernestine's painting of the mill and archaeological investigation suggests that the mill wheel was right here where the acequia is. But if you're on the outside, you'll notice it's on that side.
So that would go down to where the water was.
Right, so go down the water and underneath us, the water wheel would turn and then that would then turn this mill itself.
Grind corn?
Right, exactly, to grind corn. So here's an example, an exploded example, so you can explain to the kids what it is. You're gonna pour the corn in the top. It's gonna be between these two big stone wheels that are gonna crush it as they move. And then it comes out here. And there's also a model here of a mill that helps illustrate the process. So again, this tells an important story of what you're doing with all the corn you grow on the labores in the fields that are watered by the acequias. It's why it was an important property for Manuel Yturri-Castillo to purchase when they were, when the mission lands were being sold off, because it had the opportunity for water power and to be able to run a mill.
So
we
we're not
do-
gonna show it or anything?
Well, no, so this is hooked up to an electric motor. There are two problems with that. One, this big belt moves. It's generally
Dangerous.
kind of dangerous, so we don't like to do it around. And then the second problem is technically that our millstones need to be sharpened. So unfortunately now when you pour the corn in there, it comes out a little more ground than when it went in, but not a lot. So,
I think he's retired now, but there was a gentleman at Pioneer that used to always come and fix our mill
yeah.
when something went wrong with it. One of the things that the children will miss, the ones that I haven't done a bus in a long time. I've been a docent at this property or several others. But I always like to tell them how important the river was to San Antonio. Now, they are maybe not get that much information now that we've kind of changed our system a little bit. But that map shows the river going from downtown through all the missions. And one of the games I would play with the kids, I kept them engaged the whole time. I was appoint one child to count how many times we crossed the river. And then before I would arrive here, we usually would do Conception or maybe San Jose. I'd say, okay, now you close your eyes and there's no buildings, no buildings, no buildings, no houses, no anything. We're on a dirt road. And then when we got here, I'd say, okay, open your eyes. And they'd say, well, there are houses. I said, there wasn't. There was not a house anywhere when on this property. There is a couple that live one block on the other side of Dressa, and they came here one day when we were gardening, and she said that she had a house her father bought, she was raised in, and she inherited it. And she said they were doing research on the title, and the title listed this land grant. So you take a block the other side of Dressa. So this is a big area at that time. We don't know exactly where the land is, but we know it went on the other side of Dressa for sure, because of that land title.
And there was actually a map up, I don't know if it's still up at the Whitty, that showed this land grant and Manuel Yturri-Castillo's name on it.
And those are just artifacts that they, some of them from here and some of them have been donated, but the kids will ask about it, and hopefully we get that counter cleaned off before.
Okay, I'll add that to the list.
Why don't you talk about the cubbies? I thought
Well,
that was really.
Everybody looks at that as a little strange, but there were no post offices, and I don't know if we had mail riders at the time, but I know that the mill was the center of the community. You brought your corn here, you brought your wheat here if you did wheat. And if you didn't have any money, but you had chicken, or you had eggs, or you had vegetables, you would bring it to the miller, and you'd bring 2 bushels of corn. You would give one to him to grind for himself, he could sell it, and then you got the other one back. Or you traded something for, if you only had 1 bushel, you gave him eggs or chickens or something. That was his living. He had to be here to grind the corn, so he didn't go out and work anywhere else. But if you wanted to tell your neighbor something, you could write it down on a piece of paper and put it there, and they were supposed to check and see if there was a message for them. That was one of our stories.
Very good.
Pretty a good story, because if you consider the distance between where people lived and everything else. One of the other stories that I find interesting for adults, not so much for children, Miss Ernestine was a very determined lady. I'll put it that way. Her property reached on the other side of the dirt road. And so what they were doing, they were charging her taxes for the other side. And she said, I can't use it, it's on the other side of the road. And so they said, too bad, you know. So she had somebody put a piece of barbed wire up there and a piece of barbed wire up there, and nobody could use the road. Well, what they had agreed to do, they would assume that property on that side of the road, and she didn't have to pay taxes anymore. So her property basically stopped at the road. But the reason I asked him to open the window, if you look out, you can see the mill wheel, but if you look across, there's a tree, I think you can see it from here outside. Maybe you can see it better outside, because it's kind of bushy right now. That's where the river turned. And there's no hydrants in this building. I walked in the basement one day and stepped in water and freaked out. And I called Ron Baumel, our house person, and he laughed. He said, the old riverbed, we just had a flood. The old riverbed is right there, and he said that water seeps. Now, it seeps across the road and gets in here, but I assume there's a lot of gravel in between when they built the road. And they just redid the road, so they may have killed that and may never happen again. But we had water in the basement from the old riverbed, and now it's way over. The Corps of Engineers made it so beautiful.
But they moved.
Anything else, Tyler or Sydney? The other thing is that there are next to this,
Oh, the market right there in the complication.
right. So, you know, you can sort of see the progress from the hand way of grinding the
You
grain.
didn't have a miller, you had to grind your own corn.
So
You know
is
what?
this her branding urn?
One of those in there.
Was that
I
theirs?
doubt it.
No. And all these things are for hooves and animal, are these?
They're different things.
Yeah.
Most of the things that are original to this building, I believe, are most of the nails that they found.
Because there's a lot of different little tools in here that, look, I mean,
Yeah, I'm not sure what those are.
I know what the planes are. I know what the planes are, and I know what the branding is.
So a couple other items on the property just to be aware of is that we do have actually one other small house museum. We don't include it because it's a one-room house called the Postard House that's behind the carriage house where we started. And I can open that up if you'd like to see it. It's not useful for the heritage education tours because it's too far away and it's too small. But you might as well be aware of it as long as you're here. And also, the other thing we don't usually include, but right out here you probably noticed the little grotto where Miss Ernestine in 1960 erected a big, it looks like a grave marker, but it's to commemorate the spot where her mother on several occasions saw a vision of a woman in white, and which was interpreted as the Blessed Virgin Mary. And so there's a grotto and memorial out there. But I will open up the Postard House behind the carriage house just so you can see it. It's also got, your butter churn and your old sewing machine and stuff like that.
Now, when we have the Buffalo Soldiers here, I
Yeah.
thought about putting them out on that patio and
Perfect. Yeah.
set that up. So we'll have to make, for those giving a tour on those days, the 14th and 17th, we'll have to make sure that they get them over to the Buffalo Soldiers.
Absolutely, yeah.
So that's when you had the two buses coming.
That's one of the days.
And so do you recommend opening this window and letting the kids stick their head out to see that?
Or
No?
the, I think we could bring this this line.
Trouble.
So jump out the window.
They'll be hanging out the window. Yeah, okay.
Okay, I'm gonna go open up the Postard House, but otherwise,
And so you sit on one side.
feel free to ask questions. Tyler knows everything about it, Sydney knows everything, and I know a few things.
I'm following you. Looks like I might be the only one, but
Well, and then there's a whole other history of this land to the north, which we also own. That was a motor court.
so the only time you do open this building is for the adult tours?
Yeah, it's just, usually we don't have time.
Oh.
And like you can see, it's just a one.
Oh yeah. It smells like it's been closed up for a while too.
No, actually, they were in here and cleaned it up recently because I asked
Oh.
them to. Because unfortunately, a lot of stuff blows in, so I always know it's been
Oh.
cleaned. Usually, there's a bunch of stuff right there that blows in under the door.
I see.
So, but you've got
probably
your
just the old
baby
wood.
cradle again. You've got your real small. Oh, and then you can see the construction. It's a Thockford Bower, a hakal, which is vertical posts and then chinked in with adobe.
Wow.
Another steak, another butter churn, another coffee grinder, more candles.
It's nice.
So yeah, in November the weather will be good.